Welcome back. Now, the high rate of extrajudicial killings across Nigeria is quite disturbing, especially when it is committed by those who are paid to protect citizens. The unprovoked killing of Lagos-based lawyer Omobolanle Rahim by Assistant Superintendent of Police Drambi Vandi has been described as one too many. What makes it even worse is that the incident happened on Christmas Day when the mood should have been celebratory. Now, the matter has remained on the front burner since it happened, with people at various levels calling for justice for the late lawyer's family. On Friday, the Police Service Commission approved the suspension of Vandi from the force and directed that the final investigation into the matter is concluded to enable the Commission to take further action. But the incident has again brought to question the quality of the training Nigerian police personnel are exposed to and the recruitment process as well. Joining me now to discuss this is Fumi Adeogun, who is the treasurer of the Nigerian Bar Association section on Public Interest and Development Law, NBA SPIDL. Also joining us is public affairs analyst Adewale Ajadi, who, of course, organizes training for the police sometimes. And I think I want to start with you, Mr. Ajadi. I mean, you look at this incident, the killing of this lawyer. What would you blame it? I mean, what would you blame it on? Is it on the lack of training, or just how would you? How does one really deal with this?
And thank you for inviting me to your program. As you might understand as well, I'm a lawyer, so I have interest on both sides. And the fundamental issue here is the Nigerian police has to evolve itself. It's not a training issue per se, although there's a strong training element to it. Let's be clear. The police are trained and conditioned to be a military organization. We're trying to shift them away from that. From inception, they've been largely an occupation force and trained to do things like drills and things that are about suppression of certain behaviors, and that's abused often. But you see, if we take just one dimension of this, we will not get to the bottom of it, and I think we need to get to the bottom of it. It's a tragedy. It's one too many. It should never occur. But if the police are militarized in their mentality, in their orientation, in their history, and their reaction to things, and actually not only the police are militarized, we are all militarized to some extent, but the police is the part of the society we're talking about. They have to evolve, and we're training them to evolve, to focus on their relationship with the public as part of the solution, as a fundamental part of the solution. So they have to police with the consent of the public, with the involvement of the public, not with the exertion of force. There are other circumstances that are involved here. Oftentimes, police officers are traumatized people. And for what I heard, this man was drunk. So he's probably self-medicating on some form of PTSD, or as a properly damaged individual in any case. This is a very problematic job that gets no support at all. So putting some of these people on the street itself is damaging. So there is a lot of work that has to be done. There's a lot of work that has to be done in helping the police move away from relying on their capacity and their use of force to actually building the kinds of relationship with the society to solve problems. And we're a long way from getting to where we need to get to. We need to get to a place where the police rely on evidence collection, where they interact with the public. And by the way, there are laws making sure that police should be respectful of the public. The Police Act of 2020 is an incredible piece of legislation. If you read it, you'll be shocked that the police officer could have done what this man is alleged to have done.
Oh, all right. Let me go to Mr. Adeogun now. And this is coming just less than 3 years after we had that NSAS protest. And you would have thought that the police would have learned some lessons from that I mean, the End SARS protest. But you look at things like this. The question is, what lessons would you say what lessons were learned by the police?
Thank you for having me. Well, let me first say that Mrs. Bolanle Rahim, that was killed, the event, the most painful aspect of it wasn't the fact that it happened on a Christmas day, but also the fact that she was heavily pregnant. You know, she had two nations in her womb. And Omobalale Rahim also happened to be somebody that I knew very well. We were in the same church together and also in the same department as Sunday school teachers. So I pray that our soul continue to rest in peace. Now going to your question, that what lesson or lessons have the Nigerian police learned from the HenSARS? Absolutely nothing. I'll say nothing. And why am I saying that is that on the 7th of December, there was a killing of a young man from an officer of that same police station, Ajua police station, on the 7th of December, before this killing. And why will I say they have learned nothing? They have learned nothing, and we have encouraged them to learn nothing, because all the implementations, the recommendations from the report of the HenSARS were never implemented at the federal and state levels. We have almost 28 states that set up this panel of inquiry. Until date, nothing has been done. They have submitted their reports. So we want to urge them to publish these reports of this HenSARS panel, and want to urge the state governments, to also implement the recommendations. And I think it's because nothing has been done. So many killings have been, carried out, extrajudicial killings, and absolutely nothing has been done. Nothing has been done. And that is why it will continue like this if something is not urgently done to arrest the situation. They have not learned anything from it.
Now, one of the things that some people
nobody
have said,
has actually been made to pay for it.
One of the things that some people have said needs to be done too is the recruitment process. That it's like you have a situation where those who go to join the police, especially at the lower, the lower level now, would appear to be like, well, for want of a better expression now, the dregs of society. And if you do not change the recruitment process and make it design it in such a way that it attracts the best among us, that is, you're definitely going to end up having situations as this. What do you make of that?
Yes, it's part of it. However, I strongly believe in that aspect. Maybe we can start from people that have ND. Let's start our recruitment process from that. And but also, we should know that it depends on the person. Sometimes you will see somebody that has skill sets, the way they will behave. You won't believe that it's just ordinary skill set that the person has. It depends on the training and the kind of character the person really have. So we can start from NG, then the training process must continue. You just have to train people. Continuous training, and I mean it. For example, I'm aware they have 8 administrative departments in the police, and they have training and development, departments. They have research and planning departments. So, and they have DIGs that head these departments. So I don't know, what have they been doing? If you recruit the best mind, yes, it will add to it. However, after recruitment, you must continue to train them. And one of the things, one of our learned seekers suggested, Femi Falana, is that let there be fundamental right courses. They should make it compulsory in us police colleges and military academic institutions. They should make it compulsory for them. Let them learn it, that, there is a course called fundamental rights course. it should be made mandatory for them, and also so that it will help them to wake up to their responsibilities, that one of their responsibilities is to protect life and property of every citizen in Nigeria. So if we just recruit the best mind and you leave them without training them, we're still going to end up doing the same thing. After recruitment of them, then we should continue with that training process.
Okay, I understand. Mr. Jadi, I know you've been involved in training policemen in this country and probably elsewhere. You've just listened to what Ms. Adeogun just said now about the recruitment process. Do you think that needs to change? And when you organize training for these police personnel now, what kind of training do you organize for them? Do we have elements of fundamental human rights incorporated into this training? Because you look at this incident. This incident or this action now was perpetrated by, unfortunately, a senior police officer. An assistant superintendent of police is not a junior officer by any standard at all.
I feel so sad that I'm having this conversation. I feel so sad for the family that lost their wife, their sister, their mother, and the twins. I feel so sad that the Nigerian police is carrying the can for this. I've just been involved in the past few weeks training over 400 police trainers. And in every case, human rights is a core part of the course. In every case, all the things you talk about are covered. Policing is not about what certificate you get. It is about your attitude. It's about your character. It's about your emotional intelligence. And yes, we have a long way to go to change that across the board. So far, the Foundation for Investigative Journalism is listed 10 police killing incidents, contrasting that to over 71 police killed this year. I mean, it's such a shame. And I've lost people close to me in the process of when policing goes wrong. But we have to recognize that there's a reform process that is in place that is going to take quite a while for it to take hold. For the years that the Nigerian police has been in place, they have been a paramilitary force. They have to shift to a service orientation. The attitudes have to shift. And for many of the officers who have already been conditioned, so to give you an example, most police officers that you're dealing with went through training where drill was about 80% of what they were exposed to. There was no human rights training of any sort. And they are dealing with a society that does not trust them, that reacts to them violently too. So what you're seeing is trauma across the board. I'm not defending the police in saying what I'm saying. I'm just telling you that the issues are complex and they are being dealt with in many ways, and it's going to take some time for them to start to come through in great respect. And it's going to come through especially with the new officers that are being put in place. I can give you so many examples of how traumatized police officers are, and that they should not even be out there in that condition. And many of them are self-medicating. And what I would say is that rather than us reacting in the way we normally react and get to blame, is to make sure that every police formation has some form of psychological profiling that says this person should not go out there if it's this damage. Because an officer that is using drugs, an officer that is drinking alcohol and has a gun is a danger to everybody, including police officers. There is so much. Let me ask you a question. How many female police officers do you know that have been accused of extrajudicial killing? In all the years, there have been female officers, and there are female officers with guns, there are female officers in the mobile police and all of that. Because the conditioning is slightly different. And the issues that we need to confront are what is the level of misogyny and the level of violent affirmation in the Nigerian police. What's the attitude towards being militaristic? Because if you compare it to officers in other places where I've trained, where the focus is on the citizen, where the focus is in solving problems with the citizen, where the focus is services, you rarely ever get this kind of result. These are the kind of results you get in the United States. And so you need to, and remember, we have gone through most of our years under a military government. So these people are already orientated in many ways towards that, to solving problems violently. Let me just quickly add something. If you go and look at the fundamental of how policing is done in Nigeria, we rely on confessional statements for everything. And that means that torture is part of what we do. If you look at those standard issues, you will see at the core of it that the kind of psychological engagement that you have to have with the public is not there. We're just starting to train people on that. It's going to take some time.
Obviously. Let me come to you just before I go, Mr. Deogun. What kind of justice, or what do you think would be justice for the family of this of Omobalanle and Omobalanle herself? What do you think would be justice? What would you want to see?
Yeah, I would want to see what the law prescribed to be justice in this circumstance. The AG has gone to court today, and he has filed his charge. So the matter has been adjourned to 30th January for reports and legal advice from the DPP. So the justice I want to see is the justice prescribed by the law, and I will be happy to see that.
And do you, I mean, this would further, no doubt, damage that trust now, the trust now between the people and the police. I mean, that trust was completely destroyed during the NSAS protest. The police has not been able to regain that trust of the people, and then this happened. I'm just wondering, how do you think that trust can be rebuilt? Because just a few hours after this incident was reported, policemen disappeared from the streets.
Yes, to me, I think, number one, if we can remove force from their name, Nigeria Police Force, maybe we can say Nigeria Police Service, so that they won't see themselves as being violent, because it all dates back to the colonial era. You know, the colonial state established the Nigeria Police Force, and when it was done, the main purpose was for the police force to protect the colonial state and to make sure they enforce their will on the people. So, and they see these people as their adversaries, and that mentality is still there till date. When a policeman wears his uniform and he goes out there, he sees everybody out there as a suspect. As a suspect. There is no mentality, nothing in their brain to see that, oh, I am out there to protect these people. I am out there to maintain law and order. Policemen will be somewhere and they will see people fighting and they will go on their own way. So maybe when they remove that force from their name and just like Nigerian Police Service, maybe the people, the citizens will be relaxed and say, okay, now police is our friend.
Okay.
I think that's one of the ways.
Okay, but because we just have to, we're running out of time now. Mr. Jadi, you want to add something to that?
The police force gives, and the history shows us that. But it's also very important that the Nigerian police starts to use women officers in equal parity. Women tend to solve problems differently. We need to give them the respect. The Nigerian police, like Nigerian society, is a misogynistic society, and he has to stop that. Female officers can solve problems differently. We don't have the same level of violent reaction as male officers. We also have to move away from the kind of adversarial relationship that we use to solve problems, not just from the police, from our society. If you look at it, if you call thief in any part of Lagos, that person is not going to be handled as a thief and taken somewhere. He will be killed. It's not, if we point the finger at police, let's look at ourselves honestly. We are violent people. And where do we get the police from? We get the police from amongst ourselves. They are fundamental structural issues. Even though there are laws now in place that can be implemented that will solve the problem, the attitude of people have to change. And then the police have to be accountable to the people. So rather than having the Police Service Commission just be that abstract organization, have citizens engage in discussing and engaging police complaints, not just police deal with his own complaint on his own. Create a relationship where there's a greater balance between the citizens, and then the citizens see the police as part of themselves. It is not just putting people from the same area, policing the same area that solves the problem. That's part of it, but making sure that participation from the citizens to understand the police and the police to understand the citizens, and this properly engaged as a structure of managing the Nigerian police gets integrated.
All right. Thank you very much to both of you for joining us on the program. I want to thank you so very much and to wish you a happy new year. Thanks so very much for your time. Thanks a lot. Well, that's how much we can take on the program this week. We thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again next week. Happy New Year. Bye-bye.